southern India, you may come across peculiar fields. Upon closer inspection, it becomes clear that these are not crops, but another type of harvest, on the verge of being blown into oblivion. These film negatives, slowly eaten away by humidity, are the key components of a desperate attempt at preserving a disappearing heritage. With the arrival of digital photography, film has been rendered obsolete, and photo studios either sell negatives like these to try and salvage the tiny amounts of silver contained in their coating, or they just burn them in order to free some space. Today, those that have escaped both sales and fires are producing some wonderful surprises. One example, this series of ID photos intended for ration cards in the 70s. Traces of pink wash have been discovered on some of the negatives. It's an old image modification technique which serves as evidence, revealing details of the shooting conditions.
The pink wash we found on older glass plates was used to sharpen the photo. We usually find it over the face or arms to help lighten the skin. If we find pink wash under the nose or chin, that tells us the photo was taken outside, before the studio had electricity. It means the scene is being lit by the sun, coming from a high angle and creating a shadow here. So it shows that the photo was probably taken in a daylight studio, a studio where the roof was retracted to use the sun for lighting, or simply outside.
To save what they can, the research team first isolates moist negatives that could otherwise contaminate the collection, which is then packed in bags. They'll return in a few months to digitize these photographs and add them to their growing digital library. Zoe Headley is an anthropologist who has wandered throughout southern India for years, documenting its history through the eyes of these old photo studios. Few of these locations have survived both time and a steady increase in rent. For over 40 years, generations of Indians have come and posed before this painted wall, taking their turn to be immortalized on glass plates and film. Today, pixels have replaced chemicals, and the few clients to come through do so for more utilitarian purposes. It's in these last remaining studios that Zoe and her team find the necessary scraps to piece together a social and artistic history on the verge of vanishing forever.
One of the things we're specifically trying to understand is what the social standing was, both of the people being photographed and the photographers themselves. Who were these photographers? Their profession didn't exist before. Then all of a sudden it appeared within a society built on castes, and castes usually determine professions. So we're very interested in the social profiles of the photographers, but also of their clients.
For the vast majority of the Indian populace, photo studios were the only place where photography took place until the early 90s. It's among the descendants of these local photographers that scientists launched a conservation program to save available negatives. They digitized the negatives on the spot with a mobile setup. Traditionally, studios guaranteed that prints could be made for their clients for up to 20 years. The film negatives would then be destroyed or sold. For the owners of these old studios, the arrival of these researchers is an opportunity to bring back long-lost memories. And for the scientists, their search can also lead them to come upon traditions, once thought to have disappeared, but apparently still very much alive today. In the quiet of his workshop in the district of Madurai, Mohan patiently adds touches of life to these portraits. He's one of the last remaining masters in a long lineage of photo painters. This tradition persists in India thanks to artisans who, for a long time, occupied a vital role in photo studios. It's through his art that Mohan has enabled Zoe to unlock certain secrets hidden beneath layers of color in these portraits.
They are from poor family. They are normal photos only they have. They want to see their father or grandfather in richest way. That's why sometimes they are asking to change the saree, normal saree into or normal costume into richest one. Sometimes I will decide. I will decide to make this type of changes.
If a simple cotton sari in the hands of a painter can be changed into silk, jewels might also be transformed in a way that deceives scientists into believing they are real. By embellishing his models, the painter introduces more uncertainty within India's social stratification, further complicating anthropologists' attempts to identify the social standing of those being photographed. It would seem that photo studios, above all, were temples of artifice. Expensive clothing, jewelry, watches. Photographers provided any number of outfits and accessories to dress up clients before taking their photos. These images captured the most important moments families would want to remember forever: births, coming-of-age rituals, weddings, and sometimes even death. In their Pondicherry offices, the teams responsible for this project have assembled a collection of hundreds of photos taken during different periods. Thanks to signatures left at the bottom of the photos by each studio, researchers will be able to find the source and attempt to rediscover these lost studios. For historian Alexandra de Heering, these archives are also a perfect opportunity to question the impact that the access to photography had on Indian society.
It's clear that going to have your portrait taken in a photo studio was an extraordinary event. At the beginning of the last century, people only went to see a photographer once or twice in their whole lifetimes, on truly important occasions. These are images that would last and be displayed. Considering how rare they were, it's likely that many were displayed in people's homes.
The history of photography has seen nearly 150 different processes put to use, 70 of which were used and adapted within India. Due to constraints imposed by the tropical climate, photographers preferred durable materials like the glass plates used in southern India up to the mid-1960s. It's a fragmented story that requires patient reconstruction, much like a massive jigsaw puzzle, before these photos can be added into a digital library that currently holds over 6,000 images. This unique archive will be put in the hands of researchers, historians, and artists with the hope of renewing interest in this fragile heritage. Perhaps tomorrow it will inspire researchers in other regions to collect their own lost memories and help fill more gaps in time.